Hey everybody, thanks for checking out another video. So in this video, I want to go over my plan to integrate a chatbot into my website desktop environment, specifically GPT-4. That's the new kid on the block lately. I've already got GPT 3.5 and the HuggingFace models on there, the APIs integrated. Adding a chatbot's a pretty new thing. It's a new thing to have to my site, but it's something I've wanted for a while, and I've been talking about AI a lot ever since seeing ChatGPT. So let's just check it out, and I'll show you kind of how I did it and how you can do it. Um, so yeah, just first thing, big news: GPT-4 just came out pretty recently, like today. It looks pretty interesting. Some of the big news for it is this multimodal, which is another reason why I want it. The idea of that being where you could kind of give it an image and text and say what's in this image, or explain this image to me, explain this picture, whatever it happens to be, which I think would be a really cool feature to add to my site. And it's kind of a big addition to these GPT models, so I'm interested to try it for sure. It looks like it's a lot smarter too than the current Chat GPT, which is like 3.5 version, and they're already giving it to some of the Plus users. And for people like me that want it on to integrate into my site, they're going to have an API, and I've already got on the waiting list. I suggest you get on there as well. You just have to have an account already with OpenAI, which is free to set up basically, and just give a good reason. Hopefully, I've given a good reason. And there's some other things you can do here to kind of get up in the waiting list, hopefully. So I guess we'll see how that goes. Another cool thing I saw from the news was that Bing Chat, which we've done a video on, is using GPT-4. I suspected it was. So that'll be cool when we get that on there. We're going to be at Bing Chat level when we get this. And without further ado, let's just get into the chatbot here. So this is my website, dustinbrett.com. You can refresh it here. It looks like a desktop environment in the browser. That's kind of its thing. But as you see here, if I open up the start menu, I've added AI chat. And first thing you're going to notice here when it starts talking, typing, is that I've kind of given it like a little human touch where it'll type at a certain speed. Maybe let's jump right into the code and just show right about that, actually. So here's the chat. This is on GitHub here. It's loading a little slow. Well, while it's loading here, we'll show you the typing part. So this is the typing command here. Get letter typing speed. And I've kind of done a little bit of a random probability thing to try to get a specific human look to the typing. It's a little faster than your typical human, which is kind of what I wanted. So that's good anyways. And while it's loading the code here, let's just jump in and try it out. So you can see here in the title that it's using this API called HuggingFace. And this is kind of what inspired me to even make the chatbot in the first place, was that I found out HuggingFace had this thing called HuggingFace JS libraries. And HuggingFace is like a website that does many AI models, like 100,000. And they open them all up basically to let you run tons of them on this Inference API. And that's what I figured out, wow, you can use. And when I checked out the Inference API, the first thing that really caught my eye was this piece here where it says an API key is optional. And I thought, oh, okay, here we go. Now we're ready. Because API key optional plus ability to connect over cores, cross origin request service, it's not service, whatever it's called. There's this thing that makes it hard sometimes to do requests, but I don't need to have a server, and I can do these requests for free. So if you look here, I've got a session file that I've created, and I've actually got the first parameter right now. Oh, let me just clean up this here. It's AI API, and it's got this key called HuggingFace. And you see here the little semicolon. That's where I can put the API key. But even without an API key, you can have a conversation. We'll clear the network here, and we'll do a test. So let's, I got some test prompts here. Let's do one that it's going to probably fail on here. Hi, do you know anything about Dustin Brett? I know it doesn't. I know that he is an American singer, songwriter, and actor, and record producer. Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. And you can see here when I'm sending it, it sends to the model that I've picked. And in this case, I picked the model BlenderBot. GitHub's not cooperating here for going to the page I want to go to, which is unfortunate. So if we can't, oh, there we go. That part loads, though. So yeah, if we go to the app, I made a chat app here. And within the chat app, it's got various commands, and specifically in regards to the AI piece, that's where I'm using this inference from HuggingFace. And they just have a little API that you can get. That's the HuggingFace JS. So that allows me to do these conversations here. And you can see in the payload, when you send it, you kind of send the previous conversations and the past conversations. And it's actually pretty easy to use. And some of the cool things I've added is that it can actually work with different models. So if you go here in the models here, you can see it has the ability to summarize things, ask questions, translations. So some of the ones summarization, translations, image to text, text to image. That's one that I want to show. This is a cool one here. So if I've got another feature I've added is basically you can go draw, and let's say, do I have a good example for draw? I had a prompt written out here. Here we go. An astronaut riding a horse in photorealistic style. So I can ask for that. And I haven't. One thing I've noticed that some of these Hugging Face models kind of take a little time to speed up. This one here is I use Stable Diffusion. I picked for the image model, and you can pick different ones really easy. There we go. And there's so you see within my little chat on my website from a free API, you're able to kind of make these requests. And in the future, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a wallpaper command, so you can just talk to the chatbot and have it set the wallpaper in the background here. And once we get into GPT-4 and we get the multimodal, I'm going to start dragging things in and be like, tell me about Dustin's blog post or whatever I happen to want to do about. So this is the free one. This is Hugging Face. I can show a few of the other commands I got. Like I said, I have a summarized one here, and it also keeps all this in the chat conversation too. So I can say like, oh, that's a nice horse. And this isn't the best chatbot compared to the GPT ones. So, I mean, this is actually probably running like GPT-2 or something like that, perhaps. Or it's some kind of GPT chat thing, but it's not GPT-3. It's not GPT-4 for sure. So you can see here, yeah, I think he's pretty cool. So it doesn't know what it's talking about. He's been riding horses since the 19th century. Yeah, I don't know who it's talking about there. Oh, maybe Dustin. It's talking about me, the Dustin Brett actor. But you see here, it does chain along the conversation, and this is where I want to upgrade to ChatGPT. Wait, let's just do one more. I want to do a translate. This is another one where it's a bad model. Like the translate model only has a few languages it can handle. So this one's German. It can do German. And then again, the summary API is yet another model. And you can see all the requests here as they're coming in. So there's the translation API. It's called T5 base. And here's the other one, Bart Samsum is for summarizing. You can see here it's kind of taking some time and thinking. And you can look at them here. There's so many different models. So let's say you want to do conversations. This is the example one here where you can do the same. This is the one I'm using, the Facebook Blender bot 400 million distill. And I think maybe it's not even not even a GPT type, possibly. But you can pick from different ones. Like they actually suggest you use this Dialog GPT large, but I found it to be even worse than the other one, which is still not anywhere close to what GPT is. And that's where we're going to get into using GPT. I'm going to show you two different examples. So first off, I have a Hugging Face token, and you can use a token, and it'll help you not get limited. If I send another 10 or 20 requests, it might throttle me because that's when you're not using a key, it kind of limits how much you can send. But if I go into the session here and I switch it to my API key here, and I'm going to reset these API keys when I post this video, so don't try to steal it, but anyways, I'm going to reset it. So I reload, and now I open up the AI chat again. So now we'll be doing the Hugging Face through the API key. So now if I say, hello, how is it going? We can look at the request here and see that I passed in that key somewhere here. Is this the request? Yeah, here's the actual request. And the bearer token is hidden somewhere. I can't find it, but it should be in here somewhere. And if it's not, it's probably because I just messed up. Let me just make sure I updated the session when I saved it. Oh, I actually didn't. Okay, well, that's a good test then. So if I press save this time, that should be a little bit different. Let's double check that it actually saved the session. There we go. Now it's got the session key. So now when I open the chat, it doesn't matter for Hugging Face too much for the free ones, but for the OpenAI, it's not going to work at all. So I'll do an example here with the OpenAI one just a second. If we try here, now we should see the bearer token. Here we go, authorization. So that's when it sends the API key. And now we're going to try an OpenAI example without the API key first. I'll open up the session here and I'll just delete what I had in there. And we're going to switch to the OpenAI engine, basically, which is a different API that I've set up. And you can see here like how I have the Hugging Face one. I also have the OpenAI one. And it's actually very simple. It's basically just the URL, just as they describe in their docs. And it just sends a straight up fetch request with a couple of options in the JSON body. And that's all it is, really. So we'll do OpenAI without the key, and you'll see here that it's completely unhappy with that. So if I say hello, so this first little starting message is the little generic greeting that I've got built up, just so that I don't waste a request just when you open chat. But then here, if I say hello, you'll see valid API key required. Okay, so I'm going to use my OpenAI key. I've set up a billing account. I've only got charged 6 cents so far, but we're going to get charged a couple more cents here when we do this. And like I said, I'm going to have to reset these keys because I'm putting them in my video, but no big deal. It's extremely easy to reset the keys. So we're going to put a key in there, and now we're going to have GPT. And if we look here in the model, you will see that I have picked currently the GPT 3.5 Turbo. And I tried to do GPT-4, but unfortunately right now, while I'm still in the waiting list, it says the model does not exist. So that is the one little intermediate step where I've got 3.5 and I'm going to 4. I basically just got to move this here once I'm off the waiting list. and then I'll be able to talk to GPT-4. So here's talking to GPT-3, and we're going to see that it's a lot better, and I'll give a lot better prompt. Basically, when you can just talk like how you talk to ChatGPT, and I'm going to. So I'm going to say here, if I told you that you were a chatbot inside a desktop environment on a website, what would you think about that? And we'll have a legitimate message to ChatGPT, and you can see it here in the completions API right here. That's the payload where I sent the message with the prompt that I had, the system prompt, along with the initial conversation, and it responds, and there we go. As an AI language model, I don't have the ability to think, and I do not exist within a desktop environment. Well, I beg to differ about some of that. I exist in the cloud. Okay, so I asked the question wrong, and it's going to be a jerk about it a bit. But yeah, I'm having a conversation with ChatGPT, so like with ChatGPT, it can just kind of go on. I don't agree, or let's pretend. I wonder, it's different. Like with ChatGPT, it'll just be like, hey, I'm done with this. But when we're in the API, maybe we can go a little bit further with these conversations if we want to. I'm not going to, but let's pretend you are in a desktop environment. Where are the files? And it's reasonably quick too. There we go. Yeah, ask an AI language model. I don't have access to a specific desktop environment. Oh, as an AI language model, right. However, if you're referring to a typical, okay, so it's playing along a little bit. And each one of these tokens costs me money, by the way. So that's something you're going to have to deal with when you're talking with the ChatGPT. And that's why for right now, if you go to my website, you're going to have to put in your own token, or you can use the HuggingFace one, which is free. But that's just a cool little piece. So remember, that was with Stable Diffusion where it made the picture. Now I've also set up through OpenAI with their API to be able to use DALL-E 2 to also make pictures. So we could do the same kind of thing, and it costs a lot more money actually because it's free with the other one. But anyways, let's do it. Let's do the exact same picture, and this time it will be a DALL-E 2 picture of an astronaut riding a horse in photorealistic style. And we can see here, oh, there we go. And that looks a lot cooler. It looks a bit like a donkey though. But yeah, it made it, and you can see here it just sends it as little buffer data like a JPEG, and you just basically send a prompt and you say the size you want, and that costs 1 cent, I believe. So it's a little bit pricey, but I thought it was kind of cool. And you can see it here. They have the API for where they talk about the chat part and how right now they're using Turbo, and they do mention a little bit of ChatGPT-4, I think. Actually, not on this page, but on their main page here, they talk about. Oh, you can't see it with my picture in the way. Darn it. Well, they probably mention it in a few other places here. Yeah, they say here chat models like, so they've already put ChatGPT-4 in their docs. It's going to work pretty soon, but it doesn't work for me at the moment yet. Although I didn't try that dash, so there's still some stuff to try, but you got to be on that waiting list anyway, so I'm still waiting for that. And until then, I'm just playing with these other ones, like the image generation where it uses DALL-E and stuff like that. And just these HuggingFace models have been so cool, so I suggest people play with these as well because there's a lot of cool different features with that. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to show you how to build your own chatbot, and if you like my video, please throw me a like. If you want to motivate me, then please subscribe, and I'll be putting out more videos as I keep building this chatbot. So thanks for supporting me, and see you in the next one. Bye.